Whenever we talk about match coverage, I use the phrase, if you can count to 4, you can play match. Well, if you can count to 4, you can also bust match. And in today's video, I'm going to show you guys a combination of rule sets that makes the safety wrong no matter what. And this is going to lead to some one-play scores no matter if your opponent's in quarters or palms. So we don't have to worry about which rule set they're actually in on the trip side. Let's get into it. So for today's video to work, all you really need is trips to one side of the field and then a tight end or a compressed receiver to the other side as a solo receiver option. One of the types of formations we might utilize this from would be a bunch X nasty, but you could also employ this out of, for instance, a bunch tight end or other formations that allow you to have a compressed receiver opposite of a bunch set. And the reason that this is going to be so good is because we're going to take a safety and make him have to do two things at the same time. And obviously we know that that is not true. So let's explain how this works. To kind of illustrate this, we'll go with a quarters defense. And when you deal with a formation like this, when we talk about vertical, 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 I'm just going to kind of send everybody flying down the field on the bunch side, and then we'll worry about the solo receiver on the backside here momentarily. What this does is this makes it so that the safety on the backside has to cheat over to the strong side. This is one of the constraints that quarters has, because when you talk about quarters, the deep zones are matching all the vertical threats. And if there's only two deep zones on a trip side of the formation, regardless of whether it's bunch or spread, you have to kind of recruit one of the deep zones that's on the backside of a match coverage to help out if all three receivers go vertical. So that's how you end up with this safety on the left cheating over towards the trip side when everybody goes vertical. They have to be able to have three deep zones matching three vertical threats in this particular role. However, one of the weird things about match coverage is that the safety also has responsibilities when there is a compressed receiver or a tight end with no receiver outside of him, and that receiver goes under. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to set up a drag with a flood here, and I want you to watch how this is negotiated. I snap this ball, and you see that what actually ends up occurring is one of the two deep zones on that side of the field ends up cheating on that route. So we know that if the route combination involves the drag going underneath, this is going to create a conflict situation in the event that we have three guys going vertical on the trip side of the formation and a guy going underneath. Now, depending on what route combo you choose, this can get you different results. So when I start off with vertical, vertical, vertical on the bunch side with an underneath, you're going to see that that safety has to basically make a choice on who to help. So in this case, it was dispersed correctly. But take a look at what I'm about to show you here in our next example. In our next example, I'm going to put the inside receiver on our bunch on basically a corner route that I'm going to stem down. I'm going to put the streak to the point man on the bunch, and I'm going to use a stem down steeper corner to the B receiver. Our X receiver is still going to run a drag. And when we snap this ball, you're going to see that it immediately has to enlist everyone. And this gives us an outside pass lead to the middle receiver in this particular breakdown. Now, again, you see that that safety is out leveraged on this play. He can't cheat over to get to that seam nearly fast enough, and we give up a one-play touchdown. Now, if you're enjoying today's video, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and if you don't mind, drop a comment below to help this video perform in the YouTube algorithm. If you guys are wondering or worried, hey, I run match coverage, this worries me, what do I do? You guys need to head over to gridirongameplans.gg, the best place to get better at Madden. In our vault, we focus on the pro meta, or the most effective tactics available, which is what they're doing, how it works, and most importantly, how to beat it. So when you talk about a tip like this, I've got a match game plan on the website as well that's going to teach you guys how to proof your coverage so this type of stuff doesn't ever happen to you. Now, of course, you guys can also peruse the other content that's absolutely free here on the channel and find solves for things, but I've compiled everything in an easy to digest format for you on Gridiron. I've taken the lab work out of it for you. I've taken the search work out of it for you, and you guys can join our Discord server where we have lab sessions every week at no additional cost. And that cost is just $9.95 a month. Make sure you guys go check it out. Vault tips, game plans, Discord, best deal in the tip space. Now, of course, one of the other things we talk about when we talk about Madden is you need to lab your offense on both hashes. So one of the cool things about this is that if I were to run this on the other hash going the other way, you will see here that this could possibly elicit a slightly different match response. You remember in our last example, the safety tried to stay on the streak to worthy. In this example, again, he is going to try to stay on the streak to worthy, and we can still freeform that outside, and it's a one-play touchdown. But when you start to talk about which side the bunch is on, whether it's short or wide side of the field, that's also another factor. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run the exact same route combo with the 2 stem down corners in the middle receiver streak, and then the drag. And what you're going to see right here is a completely different bust in this particular breakdown. So you saw that this kind of swapped off a little bit differently. You actually have the ability to kind of impact how this is going to work. So if you start to notice that guys are matching differently on this play and you want to free things up, you just start to switch who's on the vertical route, and you'll figure out which one of them needs to be the fly man while which other 2 need to be the corners, and you're out for a 1-play score. Now, of course, what we're dealing with here in this regard is the safety has to try to cheat over to the trip side, but he also has to worry about this drag. So again, no matter who takes that drag, we're in trouble. You see right here in this example, the safety takes it, and that makes this outside corner have to travel so much further to get to the streak to the tight end, and you see why this is a busted coverage. So again, what we're doing is we're saying, hey, I know you're in match. I know that this safety has to respect the trip side, but I also know that if I can press down the only other receiver on that side of the field, that he has to take the drag. Because of this, him doing 2 things at once makes this so hard on this coverage, and it just can't really succeed with this. Now, the reason that this is a really important thing to do out of bunch is because bunch formations make quarters and palms play the same rule set on the bunch side. But believe it or not, quarters and palms have completely different rules against spread trips formations. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put palms in my audibles. I'm going to come out in quarters, and we're going to do a very similar concept against quarters out of a spread trips formation. And then we'll contrast that against how this works when we start to get into palms against that same call. So I'm going to come out in a Trey White flex type formation, and I'm going to go with 3 verticals. Doesn't matter which routes you want. Again, this is fine, 3 verticals. And then I'm going to have this tight end dragging underneath. And when you talk about quarters defense, you're going to see again, that tight end has to basically be guarded by that safety on the cut, because he has to jump underneath and take that. And then that makes the backside corner have to go respond to that streak in the seam, and it's just an out leverage situation. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to call palms. Palms has a completely different rule set that actually enlists the quarter flat to be able to participate in matching vertical threats. This is great because now when we have a situation where everybody goes vertical on the trip side, this makes it so the tight end on that drag doesn't really impact a busted coverage on the left side. You're going to see here that everybody has a guy that they can match, and now this is handled a little bit better. So when you talk about how do I defend something like this, well, if they're in spread and they're doing something like this to just go palms. Now, again, if they're in something more like bunch or bunch tight end, bunch nasty type alignments, that's again where quarters and palms essentially have the exact same rule set. So even if I wanted to, like, for instance, call this tight open against this quarters, and maybe I motion across Rice, now we're in a situation where we're kind of back to that same rule set if we're in quarters, where I could do the exact same thing and then drag this tight end underneath, and there's a chance that you're going to have this busted coverage. And you see right here, if you have a free form window, that could be a touchdown, especially if you have a speed advantage on this as well. So again, it's not as simple as, oh man, just come out in a bunch formation or come out in a trips formation. This can be hidden into other formations where you can motion and create these rule sets too. So make sure that you guys are on top of this. Obviously, when they're doing this with a bunch, you probably should change your inside safety into something deep over the top, like a half or an inside third, just kind of protect you. So that way other guys are playing match, but he's not. But again, if you're dealing with this out of a spread trip set, palms is a great solve. Quarters obviously is going to struggle with this no matter what type of formation if they're running this underneath cut drag type rule where the safety has to be in 2 spots at the same time. But I'm out of here. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you guys give it a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. I'll see you guys later this afternoon with a short, or tomorrow with another long form video upload. Until then, this is Zan. Get in the lab and good luck.